Mackenzie,
Lemar,
we're back.
we're
It's
back.
been like 90 minutes, and we're back for episode 2
Yeah.
of Mayhem, Space Mayhem. We're filming all these episodes consecutively, and I want to throw down a spoiler warning right up front if we can for this one.
I'll allow it.
So turn around, don't drown. It's spoiler time.
Oh my God, is that the first time that
I
you've
think
ever
so.
done it?
I never get to do it, so thank you.
Wow.
So
Now I feel
new,
weird
yeah.
about it though. Now I don't know. Now I don't know. Okay.
So
keep
we're
going.
covering No One Will Save You, which a lot of folks I don't think have seen. It was kind
I
of
certainly
a
have not.
straight to Hulu release. I
Yeah.
don't think it was in theaters. And even Stephen King himself described it as unique, which I think is an ultimate compliment from
Sure.
somebody like that. And what makes it unique is there is hardly any dialogue in the entirety of this film.
Yeah.
So to start us off here, like, what is the longest you think you could go without actually talking? Like, if that was a challenge, like $1 million on the line, what's the longest you could last?
Yikes. Well, we're both talkers. I'm a talker.
Yeah.
You're a talker. We're talkers. I don't know. That's hard. I sort of wonder though, because like I live alone. I spend a lot of time alone. For work, I'm talking constantly. So if you like negate all the work stuff at home, I feel like I don't talk a lot. I mean, I talk to myself though. I catch myself
Well, you
talking
called
to
that
myself.
out while we were watching this. You were like, I'm surprised she's not like saying things out loud to herself.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? And like,
I don't know how frequently I do that, but I do sometimes catch myself
Yeah.
talking to myself, like narrating some bullshit
yeah.
that I'm doing, especially in the kitchen. I'm making something or whatever, and I'm like, oh, fucking, whatever. Like I
Mhm.
messed that up. So I feel like if you don't count those things, I don't know. I could go a minute if you
Like,
count
what, 60 full seconds?
60 full seconds. I don't know. I feel like there have been days where I haven't talked to any, like said a word out loud for like an entire day.
Yeah, I think if you're like isolated, like when I lived by
Like if I'm at
myself,
home reading or something, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
I could see that.
I don't feel like you would last very long.
No, I don't think I could do a full day without saying a word. That's just.
You also live with somebody though. So like if you didn't live with anybody and you didn't have anything on the agenda.
I'm sure there's days where she would wish that I would like, shut the fuck up for like 1 minute, 1 hour.
Well, she's not here right now for a reason. She was like, I need a break. Thank you so much.
She's having a blast today without me.
Right.
She's probably very quiet. Yeah, I don't know. If there was money on the line and like my job wasn't a factor, I'm sure I'm a competitive dude. I'm sure I could like, not talk for a while.
It's true. If you motivate it like with a thing there's an incentivization. Yeah, I could probably fuck that up.
Would you also be allowed, because in this, it's not a silent film. She is
No.
making lots of like sighs and noises and
singing along at one point,
yeah, there is a little bit of that. So could you make noise? That's allowed, right? Like I could huff or
Right.
sigh, and I could still get some
Listen,
expression out.
you can ask any ex of mine. I have a lot of sound effects just walking around. Like I just make sound. Yes, I would do the sound effects.
Okay.
I don't know that I could. I would actively, competitively not talk though. Yeah, if it was money on the line.
Well, all right. Well, I mean, we had to throw down the spoiler warning to have that conversation, but if for some reason you haven't seen No One Will Save You, that's kind of the big thing that makes this unique. I think it's worth watching. It's not a perfect film, but I just think it's very, very different. So I'm ready to get into it.
All right, let's roll. Welcome back to We Drink and We Watch Things. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Lemar.
And we are back with Space Mayhem.
Yeah.
Get it? I did that. It's fine. We are at our second entry. And if you didn't hear the whole prequel before, just quick recap. We are doing this all in one day. We are watching them all. We are recording them all. It's bananas.
We're drinking them all.
We're drinking them all. I was just about to say, we're about to have our next cocktail. So we're going to talk about No One Will Save You, which I had not seen. You had seen only once, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was kind of just like we had a list. We knew we wanted to do 3 of the 4 movies today, and we kind of had this 4th spot open, and I gave some options and was just like,
yeah.
At its very core, this one is just very different than anything else that was on the list. So,
which I liked, because I was like, if y'all don't notice on our programming over the month, we try to find some balance.
Variety.
We do try to find some variety and some balance. And so with everything else we had in terms of entries, I think this is a great addition.
Yeah, breaks it up a little bit.
It breaks it up a little bit. It's a little weird. Okay, so what are we drinking though? This was yours. You came up with this for us, and I haven't tried it yet, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So to be fair, I've been visiting the cocktail subreddit a lot. I do want to give credit where credit is due.
Okay.
It means we're gonna have some weird usernames on occasion if I do that. But I don't even know if I'm gonna say this right. It's whiskey and soda maybe it's whiskey and soda, but spelled all weird, like whiskey and soda.
Yeah.
But they posted this recipe, and it is 1 part mezcal, 1 part ancho verde liqueur, half an ounce of lemon, half an ounce of simple, and then an egg white. So you're going to dry shake all of that together. It's very important you do that, because the first couple times I used egg whites, I did not dry shake, and you just get the chunks of junk in your drink. So dry shake it without ice first, then put ice into the shaker, shake it all around, and then empty it over a big rock. And
Okay, what are we calling this?
The isolated incident.
The isolated incident. Look at you, so clever.
Reasons.
Cheers. And we're using my fun rose ice cubes, which actually you have now too. Like you said, I got those for you. What was that?
That was a
Christmas
gift,
a very belated Christmas gift.
Yes. But no, this is a really
Okay,
tasty
this is
recipe.
fun.
Yeah, it's got like the kick to it from the ancho, but it's like the lemon and the sweetness kind of balances it out. So
yeah, interesting. Okay, I like it. This is fun. All right, so we're gonna do some really quick basics about which I have done basically no research, because again, I will reiterate, we were watching this in real time, and I just watched this. So
I was gonna say, like we were talking about, I was like, this is gonna be a short episode, because there's a lot of good things to say about this, but there's only so many things you can say about this, and it's gonna be probably our shortest cast and crew list ever. So
for sure. Okay, well, No One Will Save You came out in 2023. It is an IMDb 6.2 out of 10, which kind of checks out for me, just given, again, the dialogue things that we're going to talk more about. 82% from critics on Rotten Tomatoes, though, pretty solid. 56% from audiences, though. Like a lot of thumbs
people
down.
Not finding this appealing, because it's a kind of like by the books for the most part. It's pure concept.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
We were talking about that off mic. We were like, who wrote this? This is like just a storyboard. Like somebody storyboarded it and went and shot it.
They said, this is the idea I have, and I'm just going to do this. We're not going to overcomplicate it. And I think it's well done, but I can see how audiences would be like, this is boring, or it's like too by the books, whatever, and not really give a shit about the no dialogue thing. But.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, like I said. Okay, so some quick basics here. Like we said, our director and writer is the same. Again, there's 5 words in the whole thing, so not a ton of writing, but he got the credit. Brian Duffield does both of these, and what I looked up very quickly is that he did Cocaine Bear, which was like, in my humble opinion, ridious.
It's another one that was like a concept, but it turned out really bad. I remember seeing it when I was way too
It was
high,
so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Me and somebody else watched it, and we both at the end, and I thought maybe I'm a crazy person, and he turned to me and he was like, what the fuck was that? So this was not that reaction, I will say. It's very different.
He did 2 others that I actually really do enjoy. He done Underwater with Kristen Stewart, which is kind of like balls to the wall. Like the action starts 5 minutes in, and it is just nonstop, like underwater monster escape action movie. And he also did The Babysitter, which was a Netflix original with Samara Weaving. It was one of her breakout roles, and I really enjoyed that. It's kind of like a meta dark comedy horror film that's really, really good. They made a sequel that was okay. But.
I never saw that. I mean, Samara Weaving, right? Like she's only doing like horror.
She's like the new Scream Queen. Yeah, she's like Jamie Lee Curtis of the 2020s.
I just saw that new one with her, and I'm blanking on the
Ready
name
or Not To?
No, we saw that. The other one with her and
Over Your Dead Body?
Yes.
I haven't seen it. Was it good? Okay.
It's very
It's by Jorma Taccone from Lonely Island, so I thought it would at least be like really funny, but
it has funny parts, but it's not as funny as it thinks it is. Sad. Is what I would say. Anyway, that's her new shtick. Okay, so we have like you said, we have the shortest cast of all time. We basically, this is essentially a one-woman show, if we're getting right down to it. This is Kaitlyn Dever for 90 minutes. She's playing Brynn, who is incredibly isolated in the middle of nowhere and has clearly gone through some trauma of some kind. The only other people we really interact with are like her male guy, who we see for 2 seconds. Zach Duane plays the male guy. And then we see her mother kind of in blur, and Lauren Murray is playing her. And then we have a young Brynn, Elizabeth Kaliev, who's her younger version that we see briefly. And then some other like townsfolks. And that's really it.
But
no words, no real performances.
Outside of her, the most time on screen is under like 3 minutes for any single other character. But Kaitlyn Dever carries this film. I think it doesn't work if she doesn't have such a great emotional performance without saying anything. Did you know that Kaitlyn Dever's dad is the voice of not only Bob the Builder, but Barney the dinosaur? So talk about fucking nepotism.
I had no idea. Oh my God. Also, what voices?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nepotism. Well, why isn't she doing voices then?
I don't know. Yeah, she was in Booksmart, which we did. Very good.
She did great in that.
And then she's in Last of Us. Fans are probably not huge fans of her. I won't say anything more about that, but like she's in The Last of Us season 2, and she's going to basically lead season 3. So,
All right. Well, real quick plot summary, and then we're gonna, like we said, kind of maybe blow through this one. But an exiled, anxiety-ridden homebody must battle an alien who's found its way into her home. Yeah, I mean, an oversimplification a little, but at the same time, yes.
Yeah, I think that for what I said earlier and again, guys, we've thrown down the spoiler warning. So for what I said earlier, if it's kind of like a by the books, just it's an alien invasion thing and she's getting stuck and she's fighting back and blah, blah, blah. I do think they add some complexity with her whole situation of this entire town hating her and being legitimately by herself. And she tries to do the smart horror thing of like, I'm going to go to the police and I'm going to try to leave town. And every time she does, it just doesn't work out. And the way that they weave it into the ending when we get there of like how the situation and how the story actually ends here, I think makes it a step above what would have been a kind of generic film.
Yeah, I mean, they have an emotional tether here throughout. Like you said, there's an emotional through line. What I will say as a first-time viewer for sure is that I was definitely quite confused at multiple points. Not so much at her general isolation, that there is some trauma that has happened. You're not supposed to, I think, understand exactly what anyway. But you're not quite sure if she's literally mute or
like
nonverbal, or if she is choosing to just speak as little as possible. Because again, we're getting kind of like sound effects sort of her day to day. She sings along with something on the radio. But she's definitely not communicative. And so I feel like you could do with a little bit more backstory, especially because, and we both were a little confused later, where you're seeing these flashbacks to other people and they look genuinely very similar. And so you're kind of like, wait, who are we looking at right now?
It's very strange to me that they have the blurry flashback of like Maud, I think it is. But it's a grown-up version of her when we see at the reveal at the end is she killed her when she was a kid. So why are we seeing like a 19-year-old version of Maud instead of like, unless that's the aliens fucking with her of like your friend can be alive.
In a blur, and it's really a blurry image of Kaitlyn Dever. Like it's actually her, but it's supposed to be Maud.
Okay.
Like it's very clearly her to me in a couple, like, because it comes in and out of focus a little bit.
Okay.
And so there's a couple moments where it's her. And I wonder if she's just kind of mirroring her friend a little bit in herself. And she looks similar when they're younger. They look similar. But maybe she can't imagine an older version for that reason. I don't know. But it's supposed to be Maud. I double checked it afterward. You guys gave it a Google. I was like, well, did I understand this correctly?
I'm thinking it through and I'm like, in my head, I'm making sense of it because I think it's the aliens being like, look, if you like come to our side, your friend can be alive with you at the same age as you. So
okay, so that's what you think is happening. They're trying to give her the
they're
pitch.
like tempting her of like, look, you're happy, your friend is alive.
But see, this is what I'm saying, where I do like
it's confusing.
It is confusing. I like the concept of few words. I think that's compelling. It's an interesting watch, certainly, because it also makes you use your brain, right? You're like, what's happening, especially with just like physical and nonverbal cues, music cues, tones, all that stuff. I think that's cool. Like, it's a cool concept. But I think there needs to be a bit more of a difference between even just the physical appearance of the people involved for you to have some clarity. That's all. They look a little too similar in some of the flashbacks.
A lot of that comes from the visuals in this can be a little disorienting. I like a lot of the creative elements of what they do with light in this. I like the shots from inside the house when you see the lights of the ship kind of reflecting it in different colors. I like how that weaves its way when she's kind of under the psychosis or parasite and it's kind of blurry and you're seeing the lights kind of filter in through that dreamscape. I think they do a lot of very creative things with color in this. But to your point, like so many of the nighttime scenes are so dark and it's hard to figure out what's going on. And it is a little disorienting to watch at times.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, also, again, we're watching this in my house in the middle of the day. I can only make it so dark. I did, and I tried. But there were a couple of things where I was like, I'm not sure if I'm not seeing it because of glare and light or if it's just kind of not there, like if the clarity is not there. And so there were a couple of moments where I would have liked some sharpness and some clarity. But I also think you're kind of not supposed to understand, because the other piece we should get into is like what we're watching her deal with is some hallucinations and an actual abduction and then flashbacks.
Yeah.
So you're like dealing with several things where you're not 100% in the moment. It's really after the moment, which is kind of interesting. It's always after the moment has ended that you get the context of the moment.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that was a flashback, or oh, that was the spaceship, or that, whatever. But I think that's what makes it hard as you're watching to, and I wonder if it was the same for you on a second watch, because for me it was like, oh, I'm catching up.
When I knew where it was going this time, it made it easier to kind of digest. And I think that they're smart in the writing of this. Of they need that second hook of like, well, what did she actually do? That's what
Right.
kind of keeps you watching, in addition to just, is she going to escape the aliens or not?
Mhm.
So I do think that the writing on this is as good as it can be. But yeah, definitely very confusing the first time through.
But I will circle back to what you said though about like, even though you don't totally get every beat for beat moment of what's happening, you do get the emotion behind it. To your point of like, she is definitely carrying the team. I mean, there's a team of one kind of, but she's carrying the story in terms of making you understand the feelings behind the moment. Like you get her feelings of isolation in the town, you get her feelings of grief really kind of throughout. You get her feeling of guilt, and you do lead up to that, I think, pretty well. I feel like I could have gotten that sooner, like a little bit sooner in terms of the reveal. But I do think you get to the point where she has inadvertently killed her friend when she was really young. We can't really avoid that. And we were talking off mic about, imagine that trauma. Like, we are not understanding totally why she's so isolated, why she's so quiet, all these things. I do think as soon as you see that moment happen with her friend, you're like, oh, there it is. I mean, obviously, how could you not? You are a kid, you overreact, emotions are high, does not, of course, excuse anything, but you think you're just going to hurt somebody. You're just going to be mad for a second. And you actually kill someone. I mean, the traumatic impact on you for the rest of your life, it cannot be overstated. And so then it kind of comes together a little bit.
But why would the mom not just move towns? I feel like if your daughter killed the sheriff's daughter and the whole town hates y'all, like, I don't know how far after this the mom passes away. I feel like moving to a different town. Let's go to Montana or something.
Right, like literally another middle of nowhere.
Madison, Wisconsin.
Well, and one of the things I said to you too was like, it's clearly a modern story, just even in terms of people's clothing. You can sort of tell that it's supposed to be at the very least like 90s to now, something like that. But she feels very anachronistic to me. She feels very out of time. Like
her clothes are all like thrift store. Like,
well, it feels like maybe they're her mom's or her grandmother's or whatever. Like she's kind of in an old town, like an older home. You see, and you can see the quick visual here. Like it's an older home. And you wonder if she's, where she's growing up kind of alone, just kind of taking care of herself. So maybe she's just wearing a little older clothing, but she also listens to older music. She has this small model town that she's created as a coping mechanism for her lack of access to the town, which is like metaphor on metaphor, right? But she, like, what a weird hobby, right? If you think about somebody her age and all these things. So she
like
just
teaching herself to dance by herself.
Teaching herself to dance, playing records, like, and the music itself. So she's interesting to me because she's just very out of time, and in her isolation, she hasn't necessarily reverted in terms of maturity. She's reverted in time. And I wonder how much of that is her trying to be like, in an era where lack of communication or access wasn't that weird.
I mean, it feels like
it's interesting.
It feels like she's in her own little universe already. And then at the end, that's kind of where we end up, right? Is like, she's the only person left in this universe and she's totally content with it. I did have like one other thing in regards to the color. I like how the beginning of this, we get those awkward scenes of her like getting ready to go out. She's practicing smiling and like picking the perfect outfit. And then you feel bad when you realize none of this is going to fucking work.
Which is we have to pause, like, what a champ.
Yeah.
Like trying. The social anxiety is real. Like people have that today for all kinds of reasons. And she is amping herself up and making her go, like, that's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And, but it's hard to watch because she's, it's not going to work.
The getting ready sequence. And then when she first steps outside, I had a flashback of like watching Pleasantville back in the day. And when it goes from the black and white, or like the gray to full color, and it's so bright. And that's what this looks like at the beginning when she goes, it's so like idealistic, and it's totally not like, this is her perfect little world. And then she goes to town and it gets drab. And then obviously throughout the movie, it's like dark, like we talked about, it's gritty. She's getting like bloodied. The scenes are filthy. And then at the end, when she's happy again and she's just it's like this beautiful like downtown scape. And
it's the town she built.
Yeah.
It's the
great.
idyllic town that she built. And it's with the ideal state of controlling your controllables and a controlled environment, I think, on the whole. And she's worked her way through. Like, we have to take a minute to, before we jump to that end, it's like...
It's episode 2, guys, where it's going to get worse.
Listen, I will sing all the lyrics to that right now. Let's fucking go. No, okay. So we do have to take a minute to look at the trauma response that she has here and the like therapy response. So I said to you while we were watching it, it was like, we're very isolated in her world, of course, but we are also isolated in her world in terms of the alien invasion. You know, we're very much seeing it from her perspective, her world. She's trying to escape. She does, like we said, one of the smart things is she's trying to fucking run away and like be like, fuck this. I'm not gonna defend the house. I'm gonna get the fuck out. Like,
I like that they use that moment to do the parasite reveal though, because you don't know at that point that they're kind of like replicating humans. So she's on the bus, and then we need that to keep her in town. But it also is like, oh, that's what's happening.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like, up until that moment, you think it's just her. You feel like she's under attack, and then she's on the bus, and you see that she's surrounded actually, and that it's happening all the other places. And then from shoots, you get the zoom out finally, which is actually much later than that, of it being all over the town.
Yeah.
Because even throughout, I was still just like, why are they so hung up on her? Why are they not leaving her alone? You know, like, she's escaping, let her fucking go, whatever. But they seem very hung up on her, and also hung up on understanding her.
Yeah.
And you get this zoom out of them, you know, doing the overall invasion across the town. And then also this zoom back in to them being like, this bitch is killing us. She is actually crushing it in terms of battling us. Like, incidentally, she's great at this.
Yeah.
And they're kind of slow to respond. And then they finally like abduct the bitch.
Well, we laughed because like she's killed the one alien in her house. Then they send these like smaller aliens after. Then they have the little parasite. She fights that off and kills 1 or 2 of those. And then they're like, okay, that's it. Send in the basketball players. They send in this giant fucking Shaquille O'Neal alien. And then she gets abducted, and it's like
they were like, she got the B team. We got to send in the A team. I just we were making fun of her for her slow response times, and then I was like looking at it in retrospect. I'm like, she's actually killed like 4 of these fucks before they respond. So really, they're slower than her, but then they're curious about her.
Well, I like that. That's the tale that this is telling is they're originally trying to convert her like everybody else, but then they're sort of fascinated, and I like that this. For the first, 60, 70 minutes, which one of my favorite things about this, because it's pure concept. It's only 90 minutes long, thank God, because if it was like 2 hours,
it would be too bad.
But I like that it's her fighting, right, for 60 to 70 minutes,
right?
But it doesn't end with like a standoff with the aliens. It's more them exploring her brain, seeing what's going on, and almost having a bit of empathy for her, I think. And
I
being
think so.
Like, you know what, actually, she's cool. We're just gonna let her do her thing.
Well, you hear the like, the alien trope, right? Is like, oh, they're gonna probe me and figure out what's going on, and that's always a bad thing. What I think is interesting about this probe is that she's really it's almost like a jump back. They're like, oh shit. She's seen some shit. She has seen some shit. She has been through some shit. And they have this whole separate conversation where you kind of can't tell. And you were sort of narrating it. You were like, this bitch, like, we don't want to fuck with that. And I was like, yeah, we're going to unsubscribe. Let's get out.
Or maybe it's just they realize like she's already like a pariah of this society. She's not one of these other people. So she's got no problem being.
Well, and again, so we go from that. They sort of accept her as she is, which, by the way, is the first time this happened to her, right? I think that's kind of interesting that the alien invasion is like, you know what, you good. And she comes out of that, and she is at the center of this new community.
Pure bliss.
Pure bliss. She is literally living her dream, her little dream model town that she's created. Like you said, all the vibrant colors are back. She looks beautiful. She's still wearing the kind of out of time clothes, the music.
Like a weird fourth wall break where she looks at the camera for the first time in the movie. And that's like an interesting ad of just like, I feel like it's supposed to be, you're not sure how you feel about this ending. Like it's kind of dystopian, but also you kind of feel happy for her. Like, and the pan up to like all the UFOs above them as they dance and stuff is a cool final shot. But
I think it's interesting to think that she is the only one. Right? That she's the only one that's not, which is the assumption, right? The assumption is that she's the only one. But you wonder why they would give her that, right? Like, why would she be the only? Because everyone else at this whatever party dance, they are all possessed. You see them, the little neck thing, and they're all like hyper smiley or whatever. Everybody's like, but she fits right in.
Yeah, she's doing great.
And she's not talking still. She's getting to listen to the music that she already likes. She's wearing the clothes that she likes. All the colors are back. Like she's in, like you said, she's in bliss.
Yeah.
But she's the only non-alien. And that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation. I could see how somebody could watch this and be like, oh, that's a sad ending. But pivoting real quick,
sad. I just think it's weird.
Yeah, it's odd. It's a choice.
It's not bad. Either. It's just
from somebody like, I know that I'm usually more of a horror guy than you, but like, how did the horror in this land for you? I'm thinking of like that very first encounter where there's something in her house kind of thing. That sequence goes on for really long. It's like a 15-minute chase sequence.
Yeah.
I think some of the later stuff is more action-y than horror, like the bus thing, and but there's elements of like that. I like them putting like their hands up in the sky and doing the little like
and the like
tilt
and the shaky of everything.
But how did the horror land for you in this?
Well, I think it landed better than typical because the thing that I do in horror all the time that probably would normally annoy you is I'm always breaking it down. I'm always like, why would you do this? Why would you do that? That's fucking stupid.
People love it when you do that.
I know. People love it. But you were doing it. That was my favorite part about this watch is you were saying the exact same shit that I was thinking. And I purposely didn't say it because I didn't want to be the asshole.
It's me. The problem is me.
Terry, we're both the problem. But what's funny is that you see it and think it, but you still did enjoy it. I see it and think it, and I'm roasting
it. It takes away from it.
Right. And so it was just funny to be like, well, we're having the exact same wavelength, but we just have different reactions to it. In this case, I will say, it didn't really bother me, but I was just multiple times like, why would she do that? Why was this? I did think some of the horror bits were funny. Unintentionally funny, like we talked about. Like we both really simultaneously had this one thought about it being like a Goldilocks story. When the alien first gets there,
fucking around in the kitchen,
and he's like eating the kitchen, and he's like coming and bouncing on the bed and trying out the bed, and I was like, this is fucking Goldilocks. And then you said it, and you were like, man, Goldilocks, and I was like, yes, exactly. So it was a fun experience in that sense because I was like, okay, we're on the same wavelength, and this is also kind of funny. I thought the one thing that I didn't think really landed in terms of the horror and the gore was when she goes and pulls the parasite out of her mouth.
Yeah.
And not because that was like gross or weird. It made sense. It kind of made sense, I should say, in her hallucination. But it was just the CGI of that was really bad.
There's some questionable. It's not the worst CGI I've ever seen.
No, but that was like.
And there is some good stuff. Like when the clouds first roll in, that storm looks really cool.
That's really good, yeah.
But that parasite thing, I don't love that. I do like the tractor beam design and stuff. Like there's some good CGI, and then there's some like meh. And that's one of them.
Well, it just took me out of it because it's like literally doesn't look like a wrist anymore, right? It's supposed to be her wrist and going in and
the hand in the mouth.
The hand in the mouth thing, like it just looks wrong. And so it takes you out of it, I think. And that was the biggest thing that bothered me. I also felt like there were 2 or 3 abrupt transitions, that one included, of like she's coming in and out of this hallucination, but you kind of don't know which one you're going in and out of. It's a little vague. And then there was the other one where actually right when that first happens, when they are abducting her and she's against the wall and all the red, and he's about to put it in her mouth for the first time. You and I both, God, that sounds so bad. Is this actually porn? Did we watch porn? Did we watch
porn? We all remember.
Okay. Well, but like you and I both were like, where did that come from? It felt like it was like,
it was a quick cut. Like I think it also didn't help that we're watching on fucking Hulu and we had an ad. So like she was hiding, and then when we came back, she was like pinned against the wall, and I went, "Wait, how did we get here?"
Yeah,
the aliens like so we might have missed something because of the ad break. But
we tried to turn off ads, guys. It didn't work.
Yeah.
But I did kind of fuck with stuff, but it felt very abrupt, and it felt like I was like, wait, all of a sudden, and you're supposed to intuit a lot of things there, which is not the end of the world, but it takes a beat because he's like telekinetically controlling her, but her face is just neutral the whole time. And I think what is different about that versus other gore and other horror that I've seen is that they retain this look of terror. You know, generally speaking, even when you've been physically being controlled in these other stories, I think their face is kind of free of that. This wasn't the choice here. She made the choice, or they made the choice to make her face very neutral. She's like very neutral to this
I
thing
think
that's
she's
happening.
doing she's trying to do something with her eyes in that, because they basically just have her open her mouth as wide as possible for
Right.
this like telekinetic sequence or whatever. And I feel like they try to get Kaitlyn Dever to like move her, but there's only so much you can do with
But
it,
even like
so.
think about like panting. In other stories where that's happened, they're just like breathing heavy because it's the
Yeah.
only thing they control, or their eyes are really wide or whatever. And I just didn't get any of that from her. I'm
That's
not saying
fair.
it's a bad choice. I'm just saying it was different enough that it took me a minute to be like, are you curious about this? Are
Well, I
you-
told you,
you
before
know?
they even open her mouth, I was like, is she smiling?
Yeah.
Like she seemed kind of accepting of it, or
Right.
but then immediately, so I'm like, oh, maybe she was just trying to keep her mouth closed. But to your point about the breathe, again, she has a really solid performance in 90% of this. I like the after the first nighttime sequence is very intense. I like the way that is told. I like seeing the alien walking on its like long toes.
Like,
That's kind of
he had
unique.
like feet toes,
Yeah.
like or like finger toes.
Finger
It was like
toes,
very
yeah.
weird. I was like, okay, weird finger toes.
But I like that whole sequence. This poor girl, like, I hope this fucking small town has an IKEA, because her place is trash. She needs a new couch. She needs a new door. But then when she kills the alien,
I love when she blocks the door with the couch. I just can't get
and
over
they
it.
just immediately throw
And
it
she's
out
like-
of the fucking way. But when she's hyperventilating after, like, it's
Yeah.
a really good directorial cut there where she's hyperventilating and you feel like she's about to scream, and then before she does, it cuts to daytime and she's just shocked, staring off into the distance. I do like that shot a lot.
I think it's interesting that she doesn't even get that level of voice either.
Right. She
Right,
doesn't
like-
scream at any point, I
Like,
don't think.
well, the only time is in the car. I was just about to say,
Mm.
but it's muted, right? Like they stick her in the car. Like she doesn't even leave, right? She goes and gets in the car out of fear or whatever. She locks herself in there, and then she screams and she's like, "Ah," like this, and she's moving her hands around. But it is inherently limited in terms of her voice having like fully letting go because she's muted by the car. So
Mhm.
I do think it's interesting that on the whole, she only has so much access to her voice. And I wonder how much of what the story is telling us with her choices by the end is that she doesn't really want one. You know, how much does she really want it? Because she's chosen this fake world wherein she doesn't have to talk to anybody. She can't communicate with the aliens.
Right.
So she actually doesn't have to. So how much of her is just being like, I want community. I want to be with the people, but I don't want to have to talk to them because I don't know what to say. And it feels like maybe it's a conscious choice. I don't know. I just watched it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a happy ending for that character when you say that. In regards to like the other thing that when we've been talking about, sort of the horror and the CGI, I think the alien design in this is again by the books. Like it's not.
I was like, why are they always little green men? What's happening? And it's not little; they're actually tall. But you know, why is that the style? But yeah,
apparently they're just like, well, let's all these alien invasions and abductions that happened in like the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and everybody said they saw aliens always described them as looking like this, and that's why so many.
Listen, we've
pieces of
established
fiction.
that aliens are real. Obama said so. So like maybe it's documented. Like maybe that's the real thing.
Maybe they are like humanoid-ish. So I guess they just were like, it's not broke, don't fix it. We don't need like, and they do a couple interesting things of like the different types of aliens that we talked about, but I don't think they needed to go, especially with like, I don't even know what the budget was on this, but like
22.8 million.
22.
Are you impressed that I knew that off the top of my head?
I am very impressed. I'm curious how that works with
but we don't know how much it
streaming
made because it was
services.
Hulu.
Yeah, that's a lot to spend on a stream.
That's a lot to spend on this in particular.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that, so I'm glad you mentioned that. It's just the budget was seemingly high for even just the sets and the whatever. I wonder how much of this was CGI. I mean, it must have been CGI
Probably a
heavy
lot,
budget or what, but I mean, it does seem expensive. And I will say, like, I think the fact that the aliens are prototypical aliens, it doesn't distract you. I will give it that.
Well, they waste no time in getting to the creature reveal because they're like, we're not going to surprise you. You're not going to spend this whole movie wondering what the aliens look like. We're just going to show you that it's the
and you
normal
see it and
alien.
see them and you accept it and you move on to like what's her story, what's
Yes.
going on with her.
Yeah.
So I do think in that sense it is very intentional, and it makes sense. But it was interesting. It's an interesting watch. It's one that I might noodle about and think about a lot, but I don't know that I'll rewatch it.
No, I mean, I don't think the second watch gave me anything new. That
I was
wasn't
just about to ask,
expect-
like,
it was
is that-
still fine. Like I enjoyed the watch, but like it wasn't. I didn't learn anything.
Well, I
new or
liked
react
too while
differently.
you were watching it. Like we were still asking questions back and forth. Like, what do you think about is happening here? And
Yeah.
What do you think is that? Because like I do think it's open to interpretation. So you could. I'm just saying you could watch it multiple times and try to reinterpret it. I think.
I think you could have this. We keep saying it, but this could have been. It is pure concept, but it could have been a very lazy pure concept in
Yeah.
the wrong hands if this
Yeah.
director had just had that idea and put very little effort into anything else. But I think there's some really cool shots in here where he does get creative, and like credit to the cinematographer as well. I like the overheads when she's on the bike or on the bus, and you're seeing the crop circles or grass circles like pop
I
up
liked that. I
around
did
her.
like that.
Those were neat shots.
Well, even at first, when you see it the first time, I mean, it's an alien story kind of, right?
Yeah.
But like you see it the first time and you're like, ooh, what's, it's what's the signs moment of it all of like, what is that? And then you see it kind of circle back later where it happens again on her property. And you're like, oh, there it is. And also, I think the other thing that we didn't touch on with that is there's a figure in the beam that looks almost for a split second like it could be her mom or Maud, could be whomever, but it doesn't last long. And then she's kind of gone. And
my thought was that might have been because we haven't even mentioned like the replicant piece of she eventually has to kill herself.
Oh yeah, let's spend a minute there because that was so. Again, she's the only non-doppelganger by the end of this. They're all replicants. They didn't really. Well, what's interesting is you see them trying to possess her, right? And I guess to your point, they're trying to replicate her. But we see her replicant later. We see her replicant. You never see that with anybody else. You just see them in the possessed or final form, whatever that is. And she has this like split second moment where she's in front of her and she's notably different. Like just their physicality is a little bit different in their mannerisms. But she gets stabbed by her.
Yeah,
like,
and then she turns around and just fucking murders her with a
and
box.
And like, what a bad bitch. She's got that. She's like, I'm ready. She's a Boy Scout. I respect it. Girl got a pocket.
That was my question to you. Was like, if you get approached, if you see a exact doppelganger of yourself walking up to you, not saying a word, what is your immediate reaction?
And my thought immediately was, in this exact context,
there's
this exact context, there's aliens. I'm being attacked. I will cut a bitch. I will absolutely kill her.
Fuck you, other Mackenzie.
Fuck you. I don't even like you. I don't even know you. Whatever. I would absolutely kill her. However, if it was in a different context and like things are chill, I would absolutely pause and be like, what the fuck is happening?
I think I would read myself. If I walked up to myself and I was not like about smiling, like if I was just stone-faced, approach it, I would kill that motherfucker in a heart because I'm like, that's not me. Like I would be like, hey, what's up, man? How are you? And
like you never glare at anybody.
I'd be enthralled by my own handsomeness, but like the only other like visual thing that I think is really creative and well done is I kept mentioning all the use of light in this. I do think that when the aliens are sort of going into her memory and we get that scene with her and her mom in the living room and then we cut outside and there's almost like a freeze frame of the cops, but the police lights are still
going.
But
they freeze all of it. They freeze her and her mom and then they freeze it's like, it reminded me of like a stage play. It's reminded me of theater.
Yeah.
And it was just a freeze frame on all these vignettes.
And again, the lights are still moving. So the use of light in this, I think, is really creative. That's one thing I'll really give it. But
really fascinating stuff. I mean, again, I've only had, 30 seconds to process, but it was interesting. And I don't think, like you said, in the wrong hands, it could have been bad. Longer, it could have been bad. Cheesier effects, it could have been bad. I think for what it is, it's worth a watch.
Yeah, worth a watch is how I would describe it. I wish they had leaned into the Home Alone of it all a little bit. I got really excited.
You had one Home Alone moment.
I was like, if they're Home Aloneing it, she's like prepping the house and boiling water and stuff. And they use a little bit of it, but I felt like there could have been a little more there before she gets actually abducted. But yeah, that's all I got, I think. This was
I think so. Okay, so with all that said, do you have a factoid for us?
They're just so limited. Like, I mean, there's only like 10 facts about this on IMDb. But I thought it would be fun. Instead of going to the trivia section, I went to the quotes section.
Yes. Okay, hit us with a quote.
There are 2 quotes on IMDb for this film. The first one is, "I'm sorry, Maud. I'm sorry," which is the first line we hear like an hour and 10 minutes into the film.
I need you to know that this has 5 words in this film. Continue.
Words. The second quote is, "Alien. Click, 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 bois, click, click, bois, click, bois." So there you go.
Oh my God.
They were like 10 years too late for dubstep. Otherwise, this town would have loved them so much more if they'd shown up in like 2011.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, again, womp womp. Well, what's your rating then?
Worth a watch is the name of the game here. I think unique is the word I would use to describe it. I would recommend it to any horror or sci-fi or alien movie type fan. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it's fun and it's short. So
Yeah.
I'll give it like a 7.5. It's
Wow, that's
yeah,
very
like,
nice.
yeah.
That's very nice. I think it's worth a watch. I don't think it would be a rewatch. I think it's impressive what they do with so few words.
Mhm.
I think her performance is great. I'm figuring this out on the fly, you guys. I also think she like the emotional story there. Again, even though you're a little bit confused, even though you're not 100% aware of what her end game is, she plays the emotion of the story very well. And again, to your point, I actually do think for her, this is a happy ending. It's a weird fucking ending, but it's a happy ending.
Well, that fourth wall break is very obvious. If she's totally fucking, she's enjoying this.
This is exactly what she wanted. She is getting her ideal state. She doesn't have to talk to anybody, and she still gets to be around people. I love that for her. I'm a girl will read a book at a bar, so obviously I understand. I think it'll be like a 6.5 for me, probably. Yeah,
that's in line with like the IMDb score and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If it was her performance alone, I think it would be higher. I think it's the concept that's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, if this had a ton of dialogue and was more like by the books, I think that would actually lower it. But because it is so special and different, that's why I give it like 7.5. So
yeah. All right, kids. We did it. Damn, we did it. What was our time? How far away were we?
We're only like 42 minutes. So
damn. All right, we did pretty good.
I don't think we said it at the beginning, but last week we told you guys that to make today go as quickly as possible, we are putting ourselves on a 60-minute timer as part of Mayhem. So
because we're talkers and we don't shut up. All right. So in the meantime, though, until next week,
follow us on our socials on Instagram. We drink and we watch things. Wanted to give a shout out on YouTube to Kevin D4850, who first off wished me, to feel better after my epidural last week. So thank you.
No, Kevin. He did not.
Yes, he did. It was very kind of him.
That's so sweet.
But I also we were talking, it was in response to our Aviator episode, and just he had mentioned that like the entire Alan Alda as a sleazy Senator Brewster, I just feel like that does not, we talked about it. I feel like
doesn't get enough.
He is the villain of the story, like as much as the Alec Baldwin character is also kind of like a rival.
More so even.
But I thought that was something we probably could have tapped on even more, was how good Alan Alda is in that just hateable role. But
he is. He's great at it. I agree. Totally. Great call out, Kevin numbers. I don't remember the numbers. And then come back next week. We are going to talk about next week in an hour. We're going to talk about Independence Day.
Yeah.
The OG
rolls on. And this was one we've wanted to do for a while. We always thought about doing it in July, like it would be fitting, but this whole alien thing.
Space Mayhem is better, actually. Okay. For now, though, go have a drink and watch a thing. Cheers.
Cheers.